Do you constantly struggle with poor self-control in daily life? You make detailed plans every night, full of motivation and determination to change yourself. Yet, when the next day comes, everything falls apart. You put aside important tasks, indulge in short videos, games, and instant pleasure. Delay deadlines repeatedly. Stay up late, aimlessly, and sink into endless procrastination. After indulging, you are trapped in strong self-blame, guilt, and self-denial. You label yourself as lazy and incompetent, firmly believing you are inherently inferior and unable to control your own behavior. But in fact, lack of self-control is never a moral flaw or a problem of willpower. It is a deep psychological wound, emotional exhaustion, and a hidden aftermath brought by your original family. In psychology, self-control is never an endless reserve of willpower. It is precious psychological energy. It supports us to resist temptation, endure boredom, restrain impulsive desires, and stick to long-term goals. Just like physical strength, mental energy will be continuously consumed and exhausted. When your inner energy is overdrawn, no matter how firm your determination, you will inevitably lose control. All procrastination, indulgence, and laziness are not active choices, but passive self-protection of the mind. The root cause of chronic energy depletion is buried in the growth environment and family education from childhood. Many people grow up in an oppressive and unstable family atmosphere. Some families are filled with constant quarrels, cold violence, mutual accusations, and negative emotions all year round. Parents are irritable and grumpy, venting their life pressure and negative emotions on their children at will. Children in such an environment have to be cautious all the time, walking on eggshells every day. Fearing accidental mistakes will trigger anger and blame. They can never relax completely. Their brains are always in a high state of tension and alertness. This long-term nervous state will silently consume huge psychological energy, making the inner world exhausted and fragile from an early age. There is also a kind of controlling, original family that completely deprives individuals of the right to choose and grow independently. Parents arrange everything for their children, including daily life, learning plans, interpersonal communication, and future directions. They stifle children's independent thinking, reject their real needs, and force them to live according to adult expectations. Growing up in such a rigid framework, you never have the chance to practice self-management, make independent choices, or bear the consequences of your own decisions. When you leave your family and face an independent life, you will instantly lose your sense of direction. Without external supervision and mandatory constraints, you will completely collapse, unable to restrain your desires or arrange your life reasonably. Worse still is the emotional neglect hidden in many families. Parents only focus on academic performance and material satisfaction, turning a blind eye to their children's emotional needs, inner confusion, and psychological pressure. Children's sadness, anxiety, and helplessness are often perfunctorily dismissed as making trouble for no reason and being too sensitive. Long-term emotional suppression makes people lose the ability to perceive and regulate their emotions. When negative emotions accumulate and cannot be released, they will secretly consume inner strength. In order to escape the pain of emotional depression, people will naturally rely on instant and easy happiness, such as mobile phones, junk food, and late-night indulgence to comfort themselves, gradually forming uncontrollable bad habits. People who lack self-control are often trapped in a vicious cycle due to the exhaustion of inner energy. They cannot concentrate on difficult and long-term things, so they choose simple and easy pleasure to relieve stress. After indulgence, intense self-blame comes, which further aggravates anxiety and inner consumption. The more anxious they are, the more they need instant pleasure to escape, and the harder it is to control their behavior. This cycle repeats day after day, making self-discipline farther and farther away, and making people fall into deeper self-doubt. What needs to be clarified is that indulgence and procrastination are not your original sin. You are not unwilling to work hard, but your heart has been overloaded for too long. The excessive pressure from your original family, long-term emotional suppression, and unmet inner needs have made your psychological energy insufficient to support self-discipline and self-restraint. Those who can maintain stable self-control for a long time are not born with stronger willpower, but they have a stable sense of security, sufficient emotional support, and a relaxed growth environment, which allow their inner energy to be abundant and lasting. Reconstructing self-control does not require harsh self-torture or extreme self-demand. The core of real change is to heal the inner trauma, replenish emotional energy, and reconcile with yourself first. First of all, stop meaningless self-attack. Completely abandon the labels of laziness and incompetence, and clearly realize that poor self-control is a psychological symptom, not a personal defect. Be gentle with your tired heart and allow yourself to have moments of slack and weakness. Secondly, reduce unnecessary internal friction and protect your limited mental energy. Learn to filter negative information. Stay away from toxic interpersonal relationships that bring pressure and anxiety. Reasonably control the time of browsing short videos and social media, and avoid being swallowed by fragmented information. Set small and achievable goals. Do not pursue drastic changes in a short time, and rebuild your sense of control through tiny and continuous progress. Most importantly, repair the inner lack brought by the original family. Slowly build a stable sense of security for yourself. Learn to meet your emotional needs, comfort your anxious and vulnerable inner self, and give yourself enough tolerance and encouragement. When your heart is filled and stable, your psychological energy will gradually recover, and your desire for instant indulgence will naturally weaken. Self-control is the embodiment of inner stability, not self-deprivation and compression. Everyone who is trapped by poor self-control is carrying unseen fatigue and hidden pain. You don't have to rush to force yourself to become perfect overnight. Slowly heal, accumulate strength, and walk steadily. When you no longer live in the shadow of the past and no longer be troubled by long-term internal consumption, you will find that self-discipline is no longer a painful constraint, but a natural choice from a peaceful and powerful heart.